With Monday bringing us the highly anticipated mid-season finale for Season 6, we thought why not take a look back at Better Call Saul's best moments. From Jimmy's campaign for Huel and Cushata to Nacho switching Hector's pills, there are dozens of scenes we couldn't get enough of. But today we're counting down 8 moments everyone loves in Better Call Saul. Why not begin with the 2 episodes that kick-started the plot? Jimmy meets twins Cal and Lars, 2 ambulance chasers looking for a payday. The 3 plan to con Betsy Kettleman in a pedestrian vehicle accident. Betsy, as we know, pissed Jimmy off by choosing Hamlin and McGill over him. But the con goes wrong. Instead of Betsy, Lars and Cal target an elderly woman who drives the same car as her and follow her to her house, where they threaten her with police action. But little do they know, she's Tuco Salamanca's abuelita. You don't mess with someone's abuelita, guys. Tuco kidnaps the twins, beats the living daylights out of them before Jimmy comes looking for them. Bad idea. In Breaking Bad fashion, Tuco, Nacho, and No-Dos take him and the twins to the desert, where Tuco decides on how to interrogate them. But a little bit of fast-talking gets Jimmy out of Tuco's crosshairs. The twins aren't so lucky because Tuco decides that they're collateral damage and goes to shoot them, but Jimmy persuades him to show mercy by breaking 1 leg each. Even though it was intense, it seems pretty tame in hindsight, considering what Better Call Saul is capable of. We'll get there. Next we have Kim's car crash. When we saw Kim's work ethic in Season 3, we were motivated to do our jobs better instead of watching cat videos all day. But later in the season, we just wanted Kim to get some sleep. With some really clever foreshadowing in episodes 7 and 8, the 9th season ended with Kim falling asleep at the wheel on her way to a meeting with Gatwood Oil. The result? Her car smashed into a boulder on the side of the road, seemingly in the middle of nowhere. Kim luckily got out alive, but had to look at weeks worth of hard work scattered by the roadside. Why do we love it so much? Well, we've seen car accidents 1,000 times in movies and other TV shows, but the way it's shown in Better Call Saul is original. There's no warning. 1 second, Kim's perfectly awake. The next, there's a shocking crunch and a really loud noise. In a single frame, we see her lurch forward and hit her head. It was a jump scare that made us grip our seats tighter. That's actually what it would look like and sound like if you fell asleep at the wheel. And it's a great PSA too if you think about it. Please get some sleep, Kim. And now Jimmy wants to get fired. There's never a dull moment in Better Call Saul. In the Season 2 episode titled Inflatable, Jimmy decides that he really doesn't want to work at Davis and Maine anymore. But there's a catch. If he straight up quits, he has to return his signing bonus. Well, Jimmy doesn't do that. But what he does do is find a loophole in his contract that says that if he's fired, he doesn't have to fork over his bonus. What follows is a montage of Jimmy creating absolute havoc in the office, blending fruits really loudly in the kitchen to make green smoothies, playing the bagpipes to drive everyone around him crazy, and wearing Saul Goodman's signature awfully bright and gaudy suits. Both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have some of the greatest montages we've ever seen, and it's hard for fans to pick which one's their favorite. But this one's got poop jokes, so it has our vote. Next we have when Nacho swaps Hector's pills. Guys, we couldn't start a list of best loved scenes and not mention this one. When Better Call Saul isn't shocking or hilarious, it's downright intense. The scene was hardly 5 minutes in length, but it honestly felt like an hour, in a very good way. In the 8th episode of Season 3, we find out exactly who put Hector Salamanca in a wheelchair. Nacho decides that he wants Hector dead for threatening his father, and comes up with an elaborate plan to switch his nitroglycerin pills for ibuprofen. What follows is a nail-biting sequence where Nacho sabotages the air conditioning in the restaurant, so Hector takes his jacket off. He then pretends that something's wrong with the money he's counting and asks Hector to inspect it, and while he's distracted, Nacho extracts the pills from his jacket pocket to make the switch. The scene is unbearably intense, which is why it makes such good TV. We know the scene was literally life or death for Nacho, since he doesn't show up in Breaking Bad except a mention by Saul Goodman. What's even better is Nacho tossing the pills back into Hector's jacket pocket. Pretty ballsy. And now for Jimmy's campaign to free Huel Babineau. Throughout the series, we see Jimmy pull off a number of cons, from sending hookers to Howard's business lunch, to turning the old ladies against poor old Irene to settle the Sandpiper case. Slippin' Jimmy's a master of sleazy schemes. One of his funniest and most audacious ones came in the Season 4 episode Cushata. Huel sees a guy in plain clothes hassling Jimmy about selling burner phones, and doing his job as a bodyguard decks the guy in the head. Because he's listening to music in his headphones, he doesn't hear Jimmy telling him that the guy he decked is a cop. That's not great. He subsequently gets threatened with a lengthy jail sentence and thinks about hitting the road, but Jimmy convinces him to stay. He and Kim then hatch a scheme to stop Huel from being to jail, with Jimmy traveling to Huel's hometown in Louisiana and writing hundreds of fake letters from imaginary people demanding Huel's release. He even makes one of those those burner phones and writes the numbers of each device on every letter so that when the prosecution calls, Jimmy's ready to answer. Jimmy's so committed to the scheme that he creates a fake website that shows Huell helping out in a church and doing some charity work. And it works. Huell walks away with a slap on the wrist, and the prosecution is left stunned. Moving on now to when Jimmy cons Kim. Before the episode Wexler v. Goodman, we'd always seen Jimmy and Kim collaborating on the cons. But the 6th episode of Season 5 changed that. It made us hate Jimmy for a moment. Kim and Jimmy come to an agreement about not blackmailing Kevin Wachtel from Mesa Verde and securing a reasonable settlement for Everett Acker. Later, though, Jimmy arrives at the settlement meeting where he shocks Wachtel, Kim, and everyone else in the room by demanding $4 million for Acker. But that's not enough to convince Wachtel, and Jimmy anticipates that. He puts the cherry on top by showing the room rough cuts of shady commercials that he made, where he rips into Wachtel's father's legacy and seeks to get plaintiffs for a class action lawsuit against Mesa Verde. Kim's understandably angry because she'd never been on the receiving end of one of Jimmy's cons before. The con works, of course, but pisses off the wrong person. Up next is Nacho's last stand. Ignacio Varga is one of the greatest characters in the Breaking Bad universe, and episode 3 from season 6 proved why. Nacho spends a majority of his time in season 6 running from the cartel. The poor guy even has to dunk himself in a pool of disgusting oil to hide from one of the twins. To ensure his father's life is spared, he makes a deal with Gus and agrees to get shot dead by Victor at the meeting with Juan Bolsa and Hector. But Nacho chooses his own way out. He offers a fake confession that he was hired by Alvarez to get close to and assassinate Lalo. Nacho goes further. He confesses to Hector that it was he who put him in the wheelchair, and his rage as he spits his words gives Heisenberg a run for his money. He uses a broken piece of glass to shank Bolsa in the leg, takes his gun, and holds him hostage before shooting himself in the head. What a badass way to go, even if it made our entire office cry. And finally, we have Jimmy versus Chuck. Chicanery is probably the greatest episode from Better Call Saul. A list wouldn't be complete without mentioning Jimmy's triumph over his domineering brother. During Jimmy's cross-examination of Chuck, he pulls one over on his brother by revealing that he slipped a phone battery into his jacket pocket to prove he doesn't have EHS. As Jimmy anticipated, his brother completely loses his cool, shocking everyone in attendance into silence, including his ex-wife. The camera slowly creeps onto his face as he goes on a wild tirade about Jimmy, and combined with Michael McKean's awe-inspiring performance, the episode basically said, "Hey, it's the beginning of the end for old Chuck." Jimmy realizes this too. His face says it all, because as much as it hurt him, he had to destroy his brother's reputation to advance his own. It was shocking, heartbreaking, and proved why Better Call Saul is one of the greatest shows of our time. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Was there any other best loved moments from the show that we missed out? What are your top picks?